welcome to Women of Substance. And we want to invite you to just settle in and have a wonderful time with us today because we have a tremendous guest. David and I are here to interview Patty Perry. And she's a friend of ours and we just adore her. She is an
We do.
amazing, very inspirational woman.
Thank you.
And she is founder and CEO of Wildlife and Environmental Conservation Incorporated. And she works with and helps abused animals, exotic animals. And we had the privilege of touring her facility.
Yes.
About, a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, well, it's been a little more than that, but a few weeks ago we were in California, and that was part of the reason for our trip to California. We had about 4 people that we wanted to see.
Yes.
And Patty, you were at the top of the list, so we
yes.
said we're going to drive up to Ventura County and we're going to see this place. And so. And of course, we've been friends for years, like years and years and years.
Yeah.
Mutual friend that connected us, and so I've been hearing these stories of at some dinner tables and places, of all that you were involved in, and I thought we have got to get out there and see this magnificent. Enterprise and what's happening. And so this broadcast has been is named Women of Substance. And Patty, we feel like that you are definitely a woman of substance and have something to offer and to say to young women and really young men that want to make their life count. I did a teaching many years ago on 3 levels of attainment, and one was survival. Some people say, well, I'm a survivor. Well, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to just live in survival mode. There's survival, and then there's success. And a lot of people will say, well, I've been successful at what I do, therefore I'm going to kind of retire on success. But the third one, which is the one we all want, is significance. And I believe that in your field and in your world that you have made a significant difference.
Yes.
And so we want to just talk about that today and just find out how you got involved in all this animal rescue and rehabilitation and the great things that you're doing there. So Scarlett, you want to lead the questions?
Can you tell us, I know that you went through a rough spot in your life, and I think that's so vital to people for them to understand that, we don't just float through life on flowery beds of ease. I mean, there's things that people go through, tremendous loss, etc. And so you found yourself in that place of loss, and then you decided to do something, right? To do some of the desires of your heart. So can you tell us kind of how you got started?
You bet. And I think that is a very important issue because I don't think any of us in life are without our ups and downs. And some people are more fortunate than others in terms of being able to recover from these different circumstances. I really believe that God works through people always,
Yes.
because yeah, and I think he puts people and circumstances into our lives, and for me, there's no doubt or question about that because I'm kind of living proof every day. And yeah, without dwelling on details because that's really not important. Definitely, I reached a block wall.
Yeah.
And I think everybody does at one time or another, to one degree or another. And I think that I cannot really take the credit for, pulling myself out of it. I think God put people into our lives. My inspiration, I did a lot of things that to survive.
Yeah.
job-wise that I had really no desire or no interest. I was struggling. I was always struggling to figure out, where is my place?
Yeah,
And
good.
I was surviving, but that's all I was doing.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time doing uh, nonprofit charity work of all different types throughout my life, sporadically. But one of the things that was always with me since I was a child, I think we're born, God gives us gifts, and all of us, whether you're a technician, whether you're good with mechanical uh, directions in your life, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And for me, it was animals. So if I was born with it, but I didn't see it. I never felt. The light never went on for me that I could actually earn a living or be successful doing the thing I was most passionate about. But yet my whole life I gravitated from the time I was a little child, and I wasn't even born into a family that was particularly animal oriented. So I did it from the time I was a little kid. And I did a lot of volunteer work with animals, and
Right.
I got involved with exotic animals, doing volunteer work for years, And I was really, involved in it. I was passionate about it. I took a lot of courses and I got a lot of diplomas, and I was, as a volunteer working for free, I was available 24/7. If I got a
Mm.
call through the organization I was volunteering with at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was there. I mean, I
Wow.
was good at it. I was
Yeah.
just good at. I wasn't good at anything else. I mean, getting this computer set up this morning to do this interview. Are you kidding me? You know,
Tell me about it.
my assistant says to me, "Are you all right? I think you're nervous about." I said, "I could care less about the interview. It's the computer." So
Right.
like I
Right.
say,
We feel the same.
Yes.
yeah. So that one thing I was good at. And my greatest source of inspiration, finally, at one point in my life, and I wasn't, when I started this nonprofit, I wasn't particularly young. And I finally, it's our mutual friend, you know who it is very well. My best friend said to me one day, "You know what, honey, I got to tell you something." Decided to give me a little lecture.
Yeah.
She says, "I wouldn't want to be you looking at God as saying you didn't follow the path and you weren't taking advantage of the gifts he gave you. You were meant to do this." And she says, "You need to start your own thing and get into it
Yeah,
full
that's so
bore." And I said, "Yeah, except for, starting a nonprofit and blah, 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 and there are financial demands and so forth and so on." She said to me, "You're just good at this. You've outgrown your shoes as this volunteer thing. Go for it. You've got a business background. You've got all these other things that you can incorporate into it." She talked me into it. She really did. And she
that's
said
so
to me,
wonderful.
"You know what I'm going to do?" She says, "I'm going to give you the seed money to start your own nonprofit." And it was a nominal amount, it was nominal amount of money. It wasn't, like I hit the big times. But
Right.
she said, "I know what you're going to do with it." And I did it. And I took that money and started,
Yeah.
and I established my nonprofit. I went online and printed out 60 pages of documents to apply for a 501c3, and there I
Yeah.
went. And
We know what that's like.
yeah, yep. And I started my education with different types of exotic animals. I had a lot of experience in raptors, birds of prey, particularly eagles, by the time I started with all my volunteer work,
Wow.
and a modest amount with mammals. But my big dream since I was 2 years old, the far back as I could remember, was having a zoo, getting into big cats, things like that. And I had a huge heart for rehabilitation. That was where I focused my volunteer efforts
Yeah.
all those years. And I learned a lot because I took a lot of educational courses. So then I started on the path of getting my permits.
Mhm.
And in California, each state is different. You have to do a significant number of hours to qualify, especially
Right.
with big cats, 5,000 hours. So
Yeah.
I started that process, and I started that educational process, and then all the hands-on and living
Yeah.
in facilities where I could get that experience. And then I that's it. I started, then I had to find a place to do it. And that was another thing because of where I lived, getting a place where I could have tigers. Right. So, and I
Yeah.
did all that too. And I acquired 12 acres, 45 minutes north of LA, and I started and I worked
Wow.
nonstop. And that was 15 years ago is when I got the property. So
Wow.
we're pretty established now.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
it's I don't recommend it for anybody that wants to get rich. However, I wake up every single morning and I look out that window at my animals, and I literally, I kid you not, every day I look out that window and I say to God, you must like me, because how did you pick me to get to do this?
Oh,
You know, and I
wonderful.
say it every day. Yeah.
That's so
Your passion for this is absolutely contagious.
yes.
And that's why I'm so excited about this podcast, because
Yeah.
hopefully we have viewers that maybe they're searching, for the thing.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to find their purpose and fulfillment. I was watching Rick Warren on TV the other day, and he wrote the book, The Purpose Driven Life.
Yes,
And
I read it. Yeah.
he said that when he wrote it, he didn't realize that he found his purpose in writing the book. His purpose
Yes.
was writing.
Mhm.
And before, he was just trying to be a great pastor and a great leader, which I think he turned out to be,
Mhm.
you know, but it was through his writing and the book sales that really, made him a household name, was the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Everybody, I think the lesson here is find your purpose
Mhm.
and trust God to bring it to pass.
You got to trust God, because here's the thing. Sometimes it's sitting there right in front of your face.
Yes.
And, but you know, I was not, I was not letting go. I didn't know
Right.
how to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I finally did. You let go and you trust, because I thought there were all these obstacles for me. How in the world am I going to do this? It takes
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
and I've got, and I've got all these years that I'm going to have to put into it, and I'm not that young, and there's all kinds of things. It's like these obstacles. I call it the
Yeah.
devil inside you.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
But sometimes it's right in front of you. It was right there. I mean, the work I was doing as a volunteer
Yeah.
Yes.
was what I could have done so much more, and I did.
Yeah.
I did so much more once I got started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And
awesome.
there's no question about it. You just got to let go and trust. Sometimes it's right sitting there in front of you, smacking you right in the
That's a good
face.
word. That's a
Yeah,
good word right
it
there.
is. And
Mhm.
and the fact that you did it without being paid, you just went with your passions, and then your friend recognized the gift and the talent and was willing to help. I think don't you think that's key with
Yeah.
what
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
is
Key.
yeah.
I have really, ever since then, I've literally forced myself to be mindful
Mhm.
in every single case when any one of my friends or acquaintances or whatever gets into reaches a stumbling block in their lives.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I tell them the story, and I tell them, I have a friend right now. He was huge in the rock business, an icon, huge, and he's now reaching middle age and at a point in his life where he's a little bit lost, because sometimes when you get into this transitional phase, your whole identity seems to be slipping, and then psychologically and mentally
Right.
you go into this lost atmosphere for yourself.
Yeah.
And I tell them, you got one more push left in you. Let me tell you something. you this is a great story. I just thought of this. I didn't share it with you. It's amazing where God takes you. Okay, so he finds himself he was in this huge big life, massively big life,
Yes.
and in the rock business, and he was a producer, and he was so talented, and did big things, made big money, had a big fancy life, and
Yeah.
and nothing came to a it didn't crash, but his life became transitional. He wasn't at that age anymore. He wasn't in that phase anymore.
Right.
And he started volunteering in my business. That's how I met him. And
Wow.
he gained quite a bit of knowledge. And he lived in California, and because with the types of animals that he acquired and so forth, and because of his frustration in California, he ended up in Alabama. Let me tell you something. And he had financial struggles with this whole thing, which he'd never experienced before in his life. You know what he's doing in Alabama?
Mm.
It's so funny. And the beautiful thing is he's totally open to it. I mean, this is a hardcore heavy metal guy with tattoos, right?
That's awesome.
Okay. So he's got big cats. So he started a nonprofit, and I'm his biggest champion. I encouraged him. I talk to him every day. He's become like family. He is feeding hundreds of churches with
Oh,
he's used his nonprofit and his exotic animals and his identity in that rock world
Yes.
to get this nonprofit going, and
mhm.
he gets like 50,000 pounds of excess food, fresh food from these different
Yeah.
producers, suppliers,
Yeah.
big production food plants, and he distributes them to churches. He's
Oh,
got a program with the military. He's growing. He's got all this stuff
oh,
going, and he
magnificent.
just got baptized a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Just
that's
took
beautiful.
pictures. And he's enjoying this. I said,
Yeah.
you know what? That's why God put you there.
Yes.
Look what you're
Absolutely.
doing. This
Yeah.
is bigger than anything else you've ever done. And he's just kind
Yeah.
of getting going.
That's
I'm proud of him.
wonderful.
That's a
Oh, I
great.
love to hear that.
That's a
Yeah,
great. That's what everybody's got to find. You've got to find your
exactly.
calling,
Yes.
your purpose, your passion. You're not on this earth to just be a consumer.
Yeah.
I hate it that we're all called consumers. As though you're
Right.
consuming something. Well, you better be consuming something, or you're not going to be here long.
Exactly.
What a degraded title that we get from
Yeah.
culture. You're a consumer, and that's all you're good for is consuming. But God put us here to not just be consumers, but to be producers.
Yes.
And His will and His plans and purposes get carried out through people.
Yeah.
I love what
Through
you said. It's
people.
always through people.
It is.
Always.
And
Yeah.
another thing you brought out, Patty, is it's not age limited. You're not like when you get hurt, hit a certain age, then you're
Right.
done. It's the whole time you're here, and God used old people in the Bible. You read
Yeah,
how
He did.
old
Yeah.
Abraham was and Sarah, and you think, wow, so I think we should encourage people, who have some age on them,
Yes.
find the next stage, find,
They're the most valuable.
yes,
The ones with age on. You have to remember always that life is ephemeral.
yeah,
These things are always going to change.
yeah,
God's going to we're so resistant to change.
right.
I'm the worst offender. But
I might be
I
right
fight
behind you.
and you have to go. I mean, like look at my friend in Alabama. What a radical change.
Yeah,
And what a great life he has. And the greatest thing another thing too, the source of encouragement that came to me, you become that source of encouragement to others. You
yes,
know, if
Yes.
you can acknowledge what it did for you, you
right.
become that to others. There's just no greater satisfaction, I don't think, or sense of accomplishment. The money
Isn't
will
that-
come. You
That's
know,
true.
the money will come.
Hmm.
Take
Yeah,
care of the rest.
isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So your facility is just pristine. I
Thank you.
mean, I
It
just
absolutely
was
is.
so amazed, and the animals, you could tell they're so happy, aren't they?
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
better be.
oh,
I want to come back as one of my animals.
you've given yourself to those animals, and
I
it's very evident that you're so conscientious and just it's, you can tell it's your passion, because
Yes.
I don't think you could ever get paid enough to do all that work. If you
Definitely not.
Well, your employee of the month, Milo, gets some credit, right?
Milo gets all the credit. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have.
Now tell us about Milo, because
Well, Milo is my dog. Milo is a Rhodesian Ridgeback, and he's now 10 years old. Um, Milo actually raised all my big cats. Literally raised all my big cats.
so
He showed them discipline. He showed them exercise. He put them in their place. He could, animals can communicate with each other, and he could do things with them that I can't do as a human being, even though I have this in-depth relationship with them, and we have these routines and all this
yeah.
consistency. I can't be to them what he could be and teach them, and that's what he did. And he was in there with those big cats for, still is with some of them,
Yeah.
but until they get too big and a little too
A
rough.
little scary.
Yeah.
And you can find Milo on the website. We saw
Yeah.
pictures of him yesterday, and
Yeah.
so the website. Tell everyone your website so they can go.
It's helpwildlife.org.
Okay,
And there it is on your
the
screen.
Yeah, and you'll
Help
see
Wild-
Milo and some of the cats and the raptors. Then tell them about the eagle. Now, the first time I met you, you were holding this wonderful, magnificent eagle. It was at Praise Him Ministries Night Vision,
Mhm.
and
We went 12 or 13 years in a row to do the night vision celebration, the festival each
Amazing.
year.
Such an amazing thing.
Yeah. And that was Kenai. That was I have 5 eagles right now. I think I have 5 balls, 2 goals. Anyway, she was one of my original ones, and she came from Alaska. She came from Kenai, Alaska, and she was all broken up when she came. She had 4 broken bones. She had been taken out of her nest by a member of the public who raised her the wrong way, started her the wrong way, gave her the wrong diet. So she had aggression problems, and she had metabolic bone disease from a bad diet. And so we did all the rehabilitation with her, and I raised her, and she became, when I got her, they were going to euthanize her up there. They said that, her behavior was so aggressive, and also she would never fly. And I said, well, send her down, let's see what happens. So they sent her down. We worked on her. She does fly. She's not perfect at it, but you see her, she flies across the state, flies well.
Yes.
We got that going, and she's still very aggressive, but she and I have this understanding. She has become my out of 50 animals, my greatest ambassador for education. Go anywhere, do anything. Amazing animal. Yeah. So she's the one that you saw all those years. Yeah.
And you take her to schools and churches and
We did for years. For 25 years, I went out doing offsite. But at our facility now, we're really busy, and we have such an amazing group of animals. And you can't take tigers and leopards and cheetahs out. So we have now kind of become a facility that does all on-site education. We don't take them off-site anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, it's wonderful that you educate, and we learned so much the day we were with you. I mean, just a tremendous amount.
We could not stop talking about
No.
the day, and
No, we still haven't.
I know. And anybody that comes in, we're like grandparents with that grandparent that won't stop showing their baby pictures.
I know.
But we're like that with the little videos we took of, especially the white tiger with his big red ball, and
I know,
and holding on to it like, this is mine, you can't have it, nobody else. And then he would get a little attacked and have to give it up. But anyway, it just is mesmerizing.
Yeah, so fascinating.
Thank you. It was so great to have you guys out.
Well, we're coming back, because that's
better.
That's worth the price of admission for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
One of the things you said, I know we've gone a long time, but I just wanted to tell everybody just how well you respond to these animals, and they come in very hurt And you said that even people who get the cats and they don't feed them the calcium that they need, etc. They'll come in with fractures
Mhm.
and so you have doctors, you have everybody there that can help in every way, and it's very touching
It
to your
is.
heart to
Yes.
see these animals restored and just so happy,
Yes. Yes.
and we just we were taken back by your hard work, your diligence, and your love for these animals. And
Thank
so,
you.
yeah, we just appreciate your wonderful place that you have.
Um, Patty, if someone would like to make a donation to your nonprofit, how could they? Is there a place on the website that they could
Yes.
do that?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so the
And
best
we
thing would
have
be,
PayPal, and we have all different
yeah,
credit cards, PayPal, and
right, right, all the
or
ways
our
to go.
address if you wanted to send. Yeah. So
Okay, so if you just go to helpwildlife.org,
yeah.
and I'm sure there's instructions there on how
Yeah.
to give and to be a part of what
Yeah.
Patty is doing. And this is, I believe this is something that's next to the heart of God, and it's certainly the heart
Sure.
of caring
Yes.
people. And it's just I don't know, it just stirred me up. I was
Yes.
fantastic, and you're just such a beautiful example of a Christian woman who has done amazing things, and how God has used you. And I'm sure
Mhm.
you've been an inspiration to others. And wow, we just can't say enough.
I know, and
And
you've done
Thank
this by
you.
yourself as a single woman,
yes,
because sometimes we can depend so much, on a spouse, and you haven't had that. You've done this all with just you and the Lord, and it's
That's
just
right. I was going to say I'm
tremendous.
not totally single. I was it's somebody
the
on my
Lord's a
shoulder
good
the whole
partner,
time.
isn't He?
Yes. Yeah. It worked.
Yeah,
Uh,
It
Lord's
worked
a good
out.
partner.
so
He's not critical.
yeah, that's true.
And mean
Right.
and neglectful and all those things.
That's
Right.
right. Hallelujah.
Oh,
Well, thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you guys.
You've
Thank you. It was
inspired
an
we
us.
appreciate
absolute
you taking
pleasure.
the time for the interview.
Yes.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right.
God
Well,
bless you and all your
Thank you.
animals.
God bless you
yes,
guys too. Thanks.
amen. Try to
Okay.
get the red ball away from the.
I don't even. That's his.
I think
That's
anything he
his.
gets is his.
Yeah. No
All right,
doing
Patty.
that. Okay. Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And so, those of you who would like to give, it's just such a tremendous 501c3. It's a nonprofit that she operates there. She's worked
Which
with,
means you can get a tax deduction for
yes,
your
exactly, for your
donation.
donation.
Yes.
And also, she's worked with the wildlife uh, rescue and
Yes.
all, and just
Yes.
cooperated with so many agencies that have helped animals, and
Yes.
it goes on and on. But you can read more about on her website, and we encourage you to help her in any way you can.
Yes.
And David, thanks for being here with me
Well,
today.
I enjoyed
Women's
it.
ministry.
Yeah. I believe in women.
But anyway, next month we'll have, or in 2 weeks we'll have another guest. So be sure and tune in to Women of Substance and let other people know about these podcasts so they can be encouraged as well.
And talk about our own websites and those things that
Yeah.
people want. We have all kinds of resources and
Yes,
books and workbooks and
that's
all
right.
those things. So why don't
David
you?
just came out with a book, A Deep Settled Peace,
Yes.
and it was featured in Voice of Victory magazine, Brother Kenneth Copeland's magazine, last
Yes.
month. And we've had so many calls of people who have experienced loss in their life,
Yes.
The loss of a spouse.
There it
or,
is. There it is on
Yeah,
your
there
screen.
it is. And I'm telling you, we've been able to minister, thank God, to people who have gone through some things that we've been through.
Right.
And I think you really enjoy this book. It's just magnificent, really. And there's other, of course, books as well on there.
Well, your book there, God Loves Women,
Yes.
and I love this. It says God loves women. He loves to empower his daughters to live happy, successful lives, which is really the inspiration behind this podcast.
Yes.
So if you don't have that book, you really need to get it. And there's a study guide that comes with it. And you can go to, we've got a few websites
Yeah.
around, but you can go to hortonministries.com, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it .com? Yeah. There it is.
ScarlettHorton.com.
Yeah. hortonministries.com. You can go to ScarlettHorton.com. We should be better prepared. Anyway, there it is. It's off. You can go to office at scarletthorton.com.
Yes.
And find information.
That's
Anyway,
right.
there's also, if you're interested, we also have graceharvest.net,
Yes.
which is all about our church here in Tampa. And anyway, we're doing all we can to get the gospel out and to encourage you. So let
Yes.
us hear from you if you want to write us. We're on Facebook. We're on, I don't know what all.
Yeah. Or
Whatever
you can
they've
email.
put out now. We're
Yeah.
on that.
Email us if you have prayer requests. Email us, and we'll be
Yes.
glad to pray for you and
Yes.
talk with you.
All right.
God bless you. Have a wonderful day.